Hello! So today I thought I would share with you what I remember from the saga of SassMaat, as my großeltern shared with me when I was a child. Now, obviously I do not remember every detail, but I remember the symbolism in it, and that is the important parts. Because all real mythology is not just a story, it is about symbolism, so that you learn how to benefit yourself through doing rituals and working with your three selves and your emotions, aligning your three minds and the soul and all that type of thing. So, first I will tell you the story, then I will translate what some names mean, and as I translate what names mean, I will explain the symbolism within the saga. So, SassMaat, the son of Woden, was an Asgroom, and he had heard his folk call him in a ritual. The Saxon folk had been terrorized by a Draak named Bangbüx, spreading fear throughout the tribe, so much so that they became paranoid and distant from each other. Knowing how to deal with such problems, the folk went to the Thing House to decide on a time to make a ritual to defeat the Draak. SassMaat, seeing the ritual was completed, then mounted his Ross Moot, and with his Sass, or as you might want to call it, a sword, that was made by the Dwarg Bikriegen. So it was made to be unbreakable, an unbreakable sword that could cut through all things physical and spiritual. He rode over the Braggbrügg to Middelgroom. Once he was in Middelgroom, he then cut the head off the Draak Bangbüx, and the Saxon folk had their paranoia and fear released. They once again had their companionship within the tribe restored. So this is just kind of a summarization of what I can remember. I don't remember every detail, but that's most of the saga. So I will translate a few things. So he was an Asgroom. That is how the Low Saxon name for Asgard. And then he travels over the Braggbrügg, which is the Bifrost or Bifrost, depending on how you say it, but the Bifrost Bridge. And he goes to Middelgroom. Middelgroom is how we say Midgard. And then he kills the Draak named Bangbüx. Draak means dragon. And Bangbüx means coward or fearful, fear. And so he cuts the head off the dragon. And he does this after the folk do a ritual. You see, the folk realize that the way you deal with the Draak, a dragon, when you're having emotional problems, you deal with it with your higher self, which are the gods. So then, Hunde. Ich weiß nicht, was sie sagen. Okay, so, yeah, so the people know to do a ritual. So that's what it's telling you. You do a ritual to deal with your problems. And SassMaat, his name is Sass. That means to cut. In Danish and Norwegian, they say sax, and that means to cut. And in the Netherlands, or Holland, whatever you want to call it, the Saxons living on that side of the border, they call themselves Sax, which means to cut. But in Germany, we call ourselves, with our dialect of Low Saxon, we call ourselves Sass. So that is what his name means. And the Moot, or is the name of his Ross. Ross means horse. Moot means courage. His horse is named Courage. And he rides over the Braggbrügg, the Bifrost Bridge, with the horse named Courage. And then he chops the head off of the Draak, which means that's the symbolism of disconnecting you. He's cutting your connection, cutting your cords to your fear, to your bad emotions, to whatever it is that you want to cut the cord of. Even, you know, sometimes people have like emotional attachments to things and it's not doing them any good, and you know, you would do a ritual to SassMaat for this, and then he will cut the cord, so you no longer have the emotional attachment to anything that is not serving you in a positive manner. So that's kind of the symbolism with that. And then, like I say, after he does this, after he cuts the head off the Draak, he severs your connection to your fear or your cowardness. Then the companionship of the folk, of the tribe, was restored. And that is the second part of his name. Maat means companionship or camaraderie. And yeah, the Dwarg Bikriegen, that makes his sex, his sword, his name, well, Dwarg means dwarf in Low Saxon, and Bikriegen, that means to harness energy. So the dwarf that makes a sword that is unbreakable and can cut things, all things, physical and spiritual, his name is to harness energy. So there's some symbolism in that too, because that is what his sword does. It is harnessed, it is made from harnessed energy. And that is why it is so powerful. So that is basically the symbolism here. It's saying, you know, if you look at Fafnir, I think is the name. That is the dragon in a Norse myth, an Icelandic saga or whatever, right? And it is a dwarf. And I'm pretty sure this is also a dwarf dragon, because the name is a psychological feeling, an aspect of the human, a psychological aspect. It is cowardness and paranoia, fear, and that is, you know, that's like a dwarf nature. And so, and because the other Fafnir is also a dragon and a dwarf, so I'm quite sure this dragon is a dwarf. But, you know, I don't know for certain, but I'd bet money on it. But yes, so that's what it's telling you, to deal with your unconscious, or your, sorry, not unconscious, your unhealthy attachments, like fear, for instance. And you do it with ritual, and SassMaat is the god for that. He is the god to cut. So I just wanted to clear up that he is his own god, he has his own purpose, and he is not Tyr or Tyr, and he is not Freyr, or as we call him, Frey. We called Freyr Frey. We had Frey. He was one of our gods. We had Tyr. We called him Tyr. You know, as the Norse called him Tyr. In Germany, in Saxony, we called him Tyr. So just because they all have swords does not mean they are the same god. They have their own purpose, their own energy, their own vibration, and their names are very different. They are not the same. That is just something people made up because, you know, they just wanted to fucking make something up. They couldn't handle the fact that they lost the stories, the sagas of the information of Saxnot. So they had to make something up and make themselves feel better about it. But the fact is, he was his own deity. He was a son of Woden, and you know, even from the Tales of Wessex and all that, the baptism vows and all that stuff, you know that he was a son of Woden. So it's not just that my family passed it down that way. But yeah, so that is what I know of SassMaat. And yeah, you know, other families in Nero-Saxon have this saga passed down verbally to them, and same with, you know, the people who lived on the farms that remained pagan, and the villages that remained pagan in Nero-Saxon, they know about SassMaat. And they probably know more tales that I do not know. This is the only one that I can remember my grandparents telling me. They might have told me another one, but if they did, I certainly do not remember it. So I thought I would share what I know of SassMaat. And in the description I will write these words and that I translated, and the English beside of the names and the meanings. Tschüss.